Most new home defects are not found at closing. They surface 2 years later when water stains appear on a ceiling that was dry at walkthrough, when the basement floods after every rain, and when energy bills run 30% above every neighbor on the same street. The house passed its municipal inspection. The warranty paperwork is clean. None of that changes what was already built into the walls. The builder understood the timeline. The buyer lives with the outcome. Here are the 5 things production builders count on new home buyers not checking: exactly what fails, when each one is done incorrectly, and how to verify every one before money changes hands. Production builders subcontract most of the work across multiple independent crews, with no single party responsible for the finished structure from start to final inspection. According to a review of 10,000 structural warranty claims presented to the National Association of Home Builders, 25% of homes in the United States will experience some form of structural defect during their lifetime. That number covers structural failures alone. These 5 issues are not random. They are the predictable result of decisions made where no buyer is present and schedule pressure is highest. Site grading is the slope of the soil around the foundation perimeter. The International Residential Code requires the ground surface to drop a minimum of 6 inches within the first 10 horizontal feet away from the foundation wall. That gradient keeps rain and snowmelt moving away from the structure rather than pooling against it. When the grade is flat, incorrectly sloped, or settles inward toward the house after construction, water accumulates at the base of the foundation. Hydrostatic pressure builds against the wall. Over repeated wet and dry seasons, that pressure causes cracking, allows moisture infiltration into the crawl space or basement, and in clay-heavy soils can cause foundation walls to bow inward. A 2023 Foundation Repair Association survey found that over 55% of foundation repair jobs originated with unnoticed water pooling or improper drainage. Builders must complete the site grade before the certificate of occupancy is issued, but soil settles after construction ends. In most subdivisions, the final grade is set before landscaping is installed. Settling changes the slope within the first 2 seasons and no reinspection is required. The buyer finds the result when water appears in the basement after the first significant rain. Roof flashing is the sheet metal installed at every point where the roof surface meets a vertical structure: a chimney, a dormer wall, a skylight curb, or a sidewall. Its function is mechanical: create an overlapping path that intercepts water at the most vulnerable joints in the roof system and directs it outward and downward rather than into the wall. The International Association of Certified Home Inspectors documents improper flashing as a leading cause of roof leaks and structural moisture intrusion in residential construction. On new homes, these failures are not from age or corrosion. They are installation shortcuts: step flashing, not lapping under the adjacent siding course, kickout flashing omitted where a wall roof intersection ends at a gutter, and counter flashing at chimneys sealed with caulk rather than embedded into the mortar joint. Kickout flashing omission is among the most consistently documented findings in new construction roof inspections. Without it, the gutter endpoint concentrates the full volume of roof drainage directly against the wall on every rain event. Water works behind the siding and into the wall cavity. The structural damage runs silently for years before any interior staining is visible. Attic insulation is among the most frequently deficient systems in new residential construction, documented across Energy Star program data and Department of Energy building energy analysis. Building code requires attic floor insulation ranging from R38 to R60 depending on climate zone. R38 fiberglass batt is approximately 12 inches thick when uncompressed. That gives buyers a direct verification method with no tools. Open the attic access hatch and look at the floor joists. If the tops of the joists are visible at or above the insulation surface, the depth is below the minimum code requirement. Total depth is only part of the problem. Continuity determines how much of that rated performance actually reaches the living space. Builders routinely leave gaps at eave edges, above interior partition walls, and at the attic hatch itself. These gaps are invisible from the attic center and are routinely missed in municipal inspections. Each gap is a thermal bridge where conditioned air moves through the ceiling assembly unchecked. The heating and cooling system compensates with longer run times. The owner pays for that gap through their energy bill for the entire time they live in the house. According to Energy Star and the United States Environmental Protection Agency, in a typical home with a forced air heating and cooling system, 20 to 30% of the conditioned air moving through the duct system is lost before it reaches the living space. That is, air the homeowner paid to heat or cool, escaping into attics and crawl spaces where it delivers nothing. Duct leakage in new construction is an installation quality failure. The loss accumulates from unsealed joints between duct sections, boot connections without mastic at the register openings, kinked flex duct, and return air chases in wall cavities without sealing the framing gaps that allow unconditioned attic air back into the system. The International Residential Code and International Energy Conservation Code both require duct systems to be tested for leakage in new construction. Whether that test actually occurs and whether it happens before or after drywall makes the duct runs inaccessible depends on local enforcement. The symptom in the finished house is rooms that never reach set point, utility bills that do not match the rated equipment, and HVAC equipment running longer cycles than the system was sized for. Every window and every exterior door is a deliberate break in the exterior wall's continuous water management layer. The International Residential Code requires each rough opening to be flashed before the window or door unit is set. That assembly includes a sill pan at the base to catch water that gets past the window frame, head flashing above the unit to direct water over the top flange and outward, and jamb flashing on the sides integrated with the house wrap in a shingle pattern. On large production sites, window installation is routinely handled by a subcontracted crew that arrives after the house wrap is already in place. That coordination gap is where sill pan flashing gets omitted, the nailing flange gets lapped incorrectly at the sill, and head flashing is skipped in favor of tape. The result is documented consistently by independent inspectors. Water enters the rough opening at the sill, travels down the wall cavity, and saturates the bottom plate and subfloor. By the time any interior evidence appears, the framing has been wet through multiple rain seasons. Site grading is verifiable on the final walkthrough. Walk the complete foundation perimeter. At every wall face, observe the slope within the first 10 feet. Any section that is flat or slopes toward the foundation is a deficiency the builder must correct before you take title. Roof flashing requires a look from the yard. At every wall roof intersection, step flashing should be visible as alternating metal layers under each shingle course. Kickout flashing must be present wherever a wall roof line ends at a gutter. Caulk only at a chimney base with no embedded counter flashing is a documented failure. Attic insulation requires a ruler. Open the hatch, measure the depth, and confirm it covers the full floor area, including the eave edges, against the Energy Star requirement for your climate zone. Ductwork leakage and window flashing both require an independent home inspector hired directly by you, not the builder's quality control team. An independent inspector will conduct a duct leakage test and examine every window, rough opening from the inside for moisture at the bottom plate. These are not on any builder-provided pre-closing checklist. They are exactly what builders count on buyers not knowing to request. A house is the largest financial commitment most people ever make. The inspection that protects it is the one you arrange yourself.